The first day of January in Japan is usually a time of profound peace and joyful celebration. Families gather across the nation to welcome the new year, a period known as Oshigatsu. Homes are adorned with traditional decorations, such as kadomatsu pine and bamboo, meant to welcome ancestral spirits. Special foods called osechi ryori are meticulously prepared and shared, each dish carrying auspicious meanings for health, happiness, and prosperity in the coming year. Children often receive otoshidama, monetary gifts in small envelopes. The air is typically filled with a sense of renewal and quiet optimism, a cherished cultural moment. On the Noto Peninsula, a ruggedly beautiful strip of land extending into the Sea of Japan in Ishikawa Prefecture, New Year's Day 2024 began much like any other. Residents participated in local customs, visiting Shinto shrines for Hatsumode, the first shrine visit of the year to pray for good fortune. Coastal towns, known for their fishing industries and traditional crafts like wajima lacquerware, were enveloped in the quiet dignity of the holiday. Families looked forward to a peaceful start, sharing meals and enjoying the crisp winter air. The landscape itself, with its dramatic cliffs and serene bays, seemed to slumber peacefully under the New Year's sky. There was no premonition of the immense forces stirring beneath the Earth's surface. The conversations were of resolutions and hopes for 2024, not of seismic threats or sudden devastation. Children played, elders rested, and communities felt the comforting rhythm of tradition. This sense of normalcy, so deeply ingrained in the New Year festivities, made the subsequent events all the more shocking. The contrast between the morning's tranquility and the afternoon's terror would be starkly etched into the memories of all who experienced it, a brutal reminder of nature's unpredictable power. The unsuspecting nature of that Monday afternoon highlighted a universal truth. Disaster often strikes when least expected, transforming ordinary moments into scenes of crisis in mere seconds. The joyous atmosphere of Oshigatsu, a symbol of hope and new beginnings, was about to be irrevocably shattered for the people of the Noto Peninsula. The ground beneath their feet, a source of sustenance and stability, would soon betray them in the most violent way imaginable. This calm before the storm was a fragile veneer over a geologically restless land.
Perfect.
The Earth began to heave and roar at precisely 4:10 p.m. Japan Standard Time on January 1st, 2024. What started as a subtle tremor rapidly escalated into a terrifying convulsion of the ground. This was not just another minor quake, common in a country as seismically active as Japan. This was different. This was a major seismic event. The suddenness of its arrival caught everyone off guard, turning festive gatherings into scenes of panic and disbelief. The initial moments were a blur of violent shaking, the crashing sounds of objects falling, and the dawning realization that something terrible was happening. The Japan Meteorological Agency swiftly reported the earthquake's magnitude as MJ 7.6, moment magnitude MW 7.5. It registered a maximum seismic intensity of 7 on the Japanese Shindo scale in Ishikawa Prefecture, the highest level on the scale. This indicated shaking so violent that it becomes impossible for people to remain standing or move without crawling. The raw, untamed power of the Earth was on full display, indifferent to human celebrations or vulnerabilities. Buildings groaned and swayed, and the very foundations of life on the Noto Peninsula seemed to be torn asunder. For those on the Noto Peninsula, the experience was harrowing. The ground beneath them buckled and shook with ferocious intensity. Furniture toppled, walls cracked, and ceilings collapsed. People scrambled for safety, seeking refuge under tables or rushing outdoors, only to find the world outside equally chaotic and unstable. This main shock was, in fact, the culmination of an intense earthquake swarm that had been affecting the Noto Peninsula fault zone since December 2020, with thousands of smaller quakes recorded, including a significant MJ 6.5 event in May 2023, serving as a grim prelude. Initial reports of widespread damage and casualties began to filter through the chaos almost immediately. Fear spread like wildfire, amplified by the terrifying aftershocks that followed the main quake. The The Noto Peninsula, known for its scenic beauty and traditional lifestyle, was now the epicenter of a major natural disaster. The joyous start to the new year had given way to a desperate struggle for survival. The earth had spoken, and its voice was one of immense destructive fury, leaving an indelible mark on the region and its people. Japan's geographical location makes it one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world. The archipelago sits precariously at the complex intersection of four major tectonic plates: the Pacific Plate, the Philippine Sea Plate, the Eurasian Plate, and the North American Plate. These colossal slabs of the Earth's crust are constantly shifting, grinding against each other, and building up immense stress. This volatile region is a significant part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, an arc of intense seismic and volcanic activity that encircles the Pacific Ocean. For centuries, the Japanese people have lived with this geological reality. The majority of earthquakes in Japan, including the 2024 Noto Peninsula event, are caused by the movement along subduction zones. This is where one tectonic plate dives beneath another. The immense friction and pressure generated during this process can cause the plates to suddenly slip, releasing vast amounts of energy in the form of seismic waves. These waves radiate outwards, causing the ground to shake. The depth, magnitude, and proximity of these ruptures to populated areas determine the extent of the damage. This constant geological drama shapes the landscape and the lives of those who inhabit it. The Noto Peninsula itself lies above a complex network of active faults. The January 1st earthquake occurred along the Noto Peninsula fault zone, involving a shallow rupture in the upper crust. This region has a history of seismic activity, with notable earthquakes such as the MJ 6.9 event in 2007 and the MJ 6.5 quake in May 2023, which was part of an ongoing swarm. This swarm, active since late 2020, had already put residents on edge, but the scale of the New Year's Day quake was far greater than previously experienced in this specific sequence. Scientific analysis later revealed a rare dual initiation mechanism for the 2024 earthquake. The rupture began almost simultaneously at two different points along the fault. This combined energy was powerful enough to break through a segment of the fault that might have otherwise acted as a barrier, contributing to the earthquake's large magnitude and widespread impact. Understanding these complex geological processes is crucial for Japan's ongoing efforts to mitigate earthquake risks and improve its preparedness strategies for future, inevitable seismic events that are part of its very fabric. The Noto Peninsula earthquake unleashed a cascade of destructive forces, leaving a deep and lasting scar on the landscape and its communities. Extensive structural damage was reported across the region, particularly in cities like Wajima and Suzu. Entire neighborhoods saw older, traditional wooden houses collapse, their heavy tiled roofs proving fatal once supporting timbers gave way. These buildings, many of which had not been retrofitted to meet modern seismic codes, were tragically vulnerable. In total, initial estimates indicated nearly 84,000 homes were damaged or destroyed, alongside ancient shrines and critical infrastructure like roads and bridges. Compounding the misery from the shaking, multiple fires erupted almost immediately. Ruptured gas lines ignited, sending plumes of black smoke into the sky and turning collapsed wooden structures into raging infernos. Firefighters faced immense challenges in battling these blazes amidst the ongoing aftershocks, damaged water mains, and blocked roads. The fires added another layer of terror and destruction, consuming what the earthquake had not already claimed. The sight of flames engulfing homes and businesses further deepened the sense of despair among the affected population. The earthquake also triggered tsunami warnings along the Sea of Japan coast, affecting Ishikawa, Toyama, and Niigata prefectures. While not as catastrophic as the 2011 Tohoku tsunami, waves reached heights of up to 1.2 meters in some areas. Coastal towns experienced flooding across approximately 296 acres of land. More dramatically, the quake caused significant coastal uplift, with some areas rising by as much as 4 meters. This extraordinary geological shift extended the coastline by up to 250 meters in places like Minazuki Bay, rendering fishing ports inoperable as the sea receded from their docks. The devastation was further amplified by a relentless series of aftershocks. Over 240 were recorded in the first 3 days alone, keeping survivors on edge and hampering rescue efforts. The violent shaking also triggered nearly 1,000 landslides in the first month, particularly in the hilly terrain of northeastern Noto Peninsula, cutting off roads and isolating communities. The sheer volume of debris generated, estimated at 2.44 million tons, presented a monumental cleanup challenge. Liquefaction, where soil behaves like a liquid, caused further damage to buildings and infrastructure in several areas. Section 5. Courage amidst chaos. Stories of rescue and human spirit. In the immediate aftermath of the Noto Peninsula earthquake, a massive emergency response was launched. The Japanese government quickly deployed 4,600 members of the self-defense force to the affected areas. They were joined by countless first responders, including firefighters, police officers, nurses, doctors, and dedicated volunteers from across Japan. These brave individuals worked tirelessly around the clock, battling against time and treacherous conditions to search for survivors, provide medical aid, and deliver essential supplies to those in need. Their dedication in the face of such overwhelming adversity was truly remarkable. Rescue operations were fraught with immense challenges. Damaged roads, many completely severed by landslides or buckled by the quake, made access to remote communities incredibly difficult. Persistent aftershocks posed an ongoing threat to both survivors and rescuers, risking further collapses of unstable structures. The harsh winter weather, with cold temperatures and sometimes snow, added to the misery and complicated the efforts. Despite these obstacles, the resolve of the rescue teams never wavered. They navigated debris-strewn landscapes and worked in precarious situations, driven by the hope of finding life. Amidst the widespread destruction, remarkable stories of courage and survival emerged, offering glimmers of hope. One such story was the rescue of an elderly woman who had been trapped under her collapsed home in Wajima for over 72 hours, a testament to her resilience and the persistent efforts of the search teams. In another widely reported incident, a young child was miraculously pulled alive from the rubble after being buried for more than 36 hours. Even animals played a role. One story told of a loyal dog leading rescuers to its trapped owner, showcasing the deep bond between humans and their companions. These individual acts of bravery were mirrored by a collective spirit of ganbaru, a Japanese term embodying perseverance and resilience in the face of adversity. Neighbors helped neighbors, sharing scarce resources and offering comfort. Community groups organized themselves to clear debris and support the vulnerable. This human element, the compassion and solidarity shown by ordinary people and professional rescuers alike, was a powerful counter-narrative to the earthquake's destructive force. It underscored the importance of community and the enduring strength of the human spirit in times of crisis. Section 6. Built for quakes, yet vulnerable. Japan's enduring challenge. Japan is globally recognized for its advanced earthquake preparedness and stringent building codes. Decades of experience with seismic activity have led to the development of sophisticated early warning systems, which can provide crucial seconds of notice before strong shaking arrives. Public awareness campaigns and regular emergency drills are ingrained in Japanese society from a young age. Infrastructure, particularly in major urban centers, is often designed to withstand significant tremors. This culture of preparedness undoubtedly saved many lives and mitigated some of the potential damage during the Noto Peninsula earthquake. The effectiveness of some of these measures was evident. The earthquake early warning system provided alerts, allowing some people to take immediate protective action. Emergency services, though stretched, responded with practiced efficiency where access allowed. Data from smartphones later indicated that evacuation times for tsunamis showed improvement compared to the devastating 2011 Great East Japan earthquake, suggesting that public awareness and response protocols have evolved positively. These successes demonstrate the value of sustained investment in disaster risk reduction and public education, a continuous effort in the nation. However, the Noto Peninsula earthquake also starkly exposed lingering vulnerabilities. A significant portion of the damage occurred to older, traditional wooden houses, particularly those built before the latest revisions to seismic codes in 1981, and further updates. Many of these structures, especially in rural and aging communities like those on the Noto Peninsula, had not undergone necessary retrofitting to enhance their resilience. The collapse of these homes accounted for a high number of casualties and displacements, highlighting a critical gap in nationwide preparedness that still needs to be addressed urgently. Each earthquake serves as a harsh teacher, providing invaluable data and lessons. The Noto event underscored the specific vulnerabilities of regions with older building stock and aging populations. It also highlighted challenges in reaching remote areas quickly when infrastructure is severely compromised. For Japan, a nation constantly striving to improve its defenses against seismic threats, this earthquake became another catalyst for review and refinement of its strategies. The enduring challenge is to ensure that all communities, not just major cities, benefit from the highest standards of resilience against the ever-present threat from below. Section 7. The Invisible Scars, Psychological Toll and the Path to Healing. Beyond the visible destruction of homes and infrastructure, the Noto Peninsula earthquake inflicted deep and often invisible scars on the minds of its survivors. The sheer terror of experiencing such a violent and unpredictable event, the loss of loved ones, homes, and livelihoods, left many in a state of profound shock and grief. Tens of thousands of people were displaced, forced into crowded evacuation centers, their lives upended in an instant. The initial period was marked by fear, uncertainty, and the constant dread of aftershocks, a truly harrowing experience for all. The psychological trauma extended far beyond the immediate aftermath. Many survivors, particularly children and the elderly, developed symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression. The familiar sense of safety and security was shattered, replaced by a persistent unease and altered perception of their environment. Over 200 fatalities were recorded, with a significant number being indirect deaths attributed to the physical and emotional stress of harsh living conditions in evacuation shelters or the exacerbation of pre-existing health conditions. These numbers speak to the severe toll. Recognizing this urgent need, efforts were made to provide mental health and psychosocial support to the affected population. However, delivering such care in a disaster zone presents numerous challenges. Access to trained professionals can be limited, and many survivors may be reluctant to seek help due to cultural stigmas, or simply being overwhelmed by more immediate needs like food and shelter. Furthermore, healthcare staff themselves were often victims of the disaster, facing their own recovery needs, which created shortages in care facilities, including over 10 facilities for older adults that ceased operations. The path to psychological healing is a long and arduous one. Community support systems, volunteer counselors, and culturally sensitive mental health services play a crucial role in this journey. Creating safe spaces for people to share their experiences, express their grief, and begin to rebuild their sense of normalcy is paramount. The psychological recovery of individuals and communities is as vital as the reconstruction of physical infrastructure. It requires sustained commitment, empathy, and resources to help mend the invisible wounds left by the Earth's fury on that fateful New Year's Day. Section 8. Lessons in Readiness, Global Takeaways for Earthquake Preparedness. The 2024 Noto Peninsula earthquake served as a stark and somber reminder that seismic hazards are a global concern. While Japan has unique geological circumstances, The lessons learned from this event resonate far beyond its shores, particularly for cities and regions situated along other active fault lines, such as those in the Pacific Ring of Fire like San Francisco, Istanbul, Jakarta, and Lima. The primary takeaway is the universal and unending need for robust preparedness measures, because the question is not if, but when, the next major earthquake will strike these vulnerable areas. For individuals and families worldwide, the Noto earthquake reinforces the importance of practical preparedness. This includes creating and regularly updating emergency kits stocked with essentials like water, non-perishable food, first aid supplies, medications, a flashlight, and a battery-powered or hand-crank radio. Knowing safe spots in each room, under sturdy tables, against interior walls, and designated exit routes is crucial. Securing heavy furniture and objects that could fall and cause injury can significantly reduce risks during violent shaking. These simple steps can make a life or death difference when disaster strikes. Community-level preparedness is equally vital. Participating in local emergency drills, if available, helps build muscle memory for appropriate responses. It is essential to heed official warnings and information from credible sources, rather than relying on rumors or unverified social media posts during a crisis. Families should have a communication plan in place, including an out-of-state contact person, as local communication lines can become overwhelmed or damaged. Understanding the specific risks in one's own area, such as proximity to fault lines or tsunami-prone zones, allows for more targeted preparation. Governments and institutions globally can draw lessons from Japan's ongoing efforts to strengthen infrastructure resilience and public education. The Noto quake highlighted the critical vulnerability of older buildings, not conforming to modern seismic codes, a common issue in many historic cities worldwide. Investing in retrofitting programs, enforcing stringent building standards for new constructions, and continuously updating emergency response plans based on the latest scientific understanding and past event analyses are fundamental responsibilities. The Noto experience underscores that preparedness is not a one-time achievement, but a continuous process of learning, adapting, and investing in safety. Section 9. Rebuilding Hope, the long and winding road to recovery. The immediate aftermath of the Noto Peninsula earthquake presented a scene of overwhelming devastation. The sheer scale of destruction to homes, businesses, infrastructure, and landscapes was daunting. The economic cost alone was estimated to range from $7.4 billion to a staggering $17.6 billion. Insurance claims quickly surpassed $571 million. For the residents who had lost everything, the path forward seemed impossibly steep. The initial phase was focused on rescue, emergency aid, and clearing pathways, but the monumental task of long-term reconstruction loomed large from day one. The Japanese government responded with significant financial commitments to support the recovery and rebuilding efforts. An initial aid package was bolstered in April 2024, bringing the total government spending for the disaster to over $2.57 billion. A comprehensive 9-year reconstruction plan, extending through the fiscal year 2032, has been established. This long-term vision aims not only to rebuild what was lost, but also to create more resilient communities, with a target for displaced populations to return to permanent homes by 2028, a beacon of hope for many. Immediate priorities included addressing the acute housing crisis. As of mid-2024, around 6,800 new temporary housing units had been constructed to shelter those who lost their homes. However, with nearly 84,000 homes damaged, the need remained immense. An estimated 22,500 heavily damaged homes were slated for demolition by October 2025, a necessary but painful step in the rebuilding process. The economic recovery of the region also faced significant hurdles, with at least 100 businesses forced to close due to population displacement, damaged facilities, and disrupted supply chains. Despite the immense challenges, the spirit of resilience for which the Japanese people are known remains a powerful force. Community bonds, often strengthened through shared adversity, are driving local initiatives to rebuild and recover. Volunteers continue to play a vital role, offering support and assistance. While the road to full recovery will be long and undoubtedly arduous, there is a collective determination to restore the Noto Peninsula, learning from this tragedy to build back safer and stronger. The journey, as of May 2025, is well underway, fueled by hope and an unwavering commitment to the future.